UFC 308 recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap and react to the entire card. It was amazing. I would say this was the card of the year. I was very happy with the results. I'm super hyped to recap everything, so make sure you guys smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. We're going to start it first with the first fight of the night. Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. This was a robbery decision, I feel. I picked Fakhretdinov going in, and I knew it was going to be a more difficult fight than maybe people were given, expectation to Leal of, right? But I actually thought Leal deserved the win at the end of it. Fakhretdinov did decent. I mean, maybe you give him the last round, but there was a 30-27 card in the mix, which is insane because forget about second and third round. I thought the first round was an absolute for Leal. Second round's close. Third round's close. I still think Leal did a bit more, landed the more effective shots, and I thought he was on his way to getting the damn decision, but instead, Abu Dhabi sends it to the OV. Fakhretdinov wins. I mean, not complaining because it allowed for a plus 1,000 parlay to cash, but at the end of the day, fair decision-wise, and actually looking at the matchup, Leal exceeded expectations by a vast margin, and I really do think that at the end of it, he should have got his hand raised. Is what it is. He gets to be in the UFC now, and he gave Fakhretdinov a serious run for his money. It is what it is scorecard-wise. I mean, his performance spoke for itself for Fakhretdinov. Damn, Leal was a tough debuting guy, huh? PFL had a savage, and I'm surprised they let him go. Because, I mean, he in the second fight with Sabidou C, who ended up winning that year's tournament, a lot of people felt like he should have won the fight. So, Carlos Leal is crafty. He's well-rounded. He's strong as they come. Good takedown defense. Damn impressive debut. Even though he lost the decision, I definitely think he's somebody to pay attention to. And who knows what the next matchup will be, but I think he's going to wreak havoc on a lot of unranked guys in the welterweight division. For Fakhretdinov, this kind of puts a bit of a bump in the road because for me, the conversation of, oh, let's get him in the top 15 has quieted down pretty substantially. I don't feel as though this is a top 15 earning performance, especially that I felt like he lost. And dig into his last fight, split decision. Prior to that, draw. Like, he's had a lot of close fights as of recent, and I guess I just don't love the idea of him now getting this massive top 15 shot, but how can you deny him when he's unbeaten in the UFC on paper? Regardless of what we think, on paper he's the winner. Is what it is. Fakhretdinov took it home, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he still fights somebody unranked. I don't know. Are you going to give him a Neil Magny who loses to Carlos Prates, who might be booted from the rankings? The top 15 at welterweight is incredibly stacked, and Fakhretdinov started the card off. It was the opening bout, and I think he got a controversial decision. Some will say a robbery win. I don't think you get in a top 15 fight because of that. Second fight of the night. Ismail Naurdiev, Bruno Silva. He put it on Bruno Silva. Naurdiev's striking looked good. He completely outclassed Bruno Silva on the feet. Aside from a couple punches, man, Silva was outgunned with punches and kicks, like pretty much the whole time. He was getting outstruck, getting outgrappled. He got outworked. He wanted it more. Bruno Silva got really lazy as he would miss kicks, and he would kind of slowly spin. Naurdiev would attack either with, a low kick or a takedown attempt. Good strategy by Naurdiev. He definitely wanted it bad. This is the second run for Naurdiev. If you don't know him from his first run, it's because he was down at welterweight before. He got released from the UFC with a 2-2 record, so it's not like he was some abysmal can. Outside of the UFC, he kind of found his footing. I mean, granted, he's 1-2 in his last 3 leading up to this fight. He had won his last fight, but those losses were at 175. Now he's at 185, which I think is a really smart career decision. I think Ismail Naurdiev looks, I would say, substantially better. Yeah, I would say substantially better fighting at this weight class as opposed to fighting at 170 pounds. I'm smelling success. That's what I'm doing right now. I think Naurdiev has a good chance of doing okay enough. I would say he can beat some of these unranked top 15 guys. I think he can do good work. I do. Seriously. I believe in him. I think he's got a solid skill set. So I'm impressed that Naurdiev pulled through and got the win. I think that he's a quality fighter, and I like what I saw. I really did. I like what I saw a lot. Well-rounded skill set, comfortable game, good skills, good ability, and I expect big things coming. I'm not writing him off. I think he's got exciting fights forthcoming. I think there's cool matchups for him in the weight class. I'm excited for what's next. Very excited. I'm trying to think. Potential matchups for him that lie on the horizon. There's fights on the horizon with fun stylistic strikers, or maybe even like, I don't know, a GM3 comes to mind down the line. Like, I like the abilities. I guess I'm more impressed by Naurdiev than probably the average fan, because I really believe certain guys, they start their careers fighting at like 170 pounds, and then they work their way to a more comfortable weight. Fighting at 185 is significantly better for him. And that's why he was able to go out and thrive against Bruno Silva, because cutting the extra 10 pounds, in my opinion, was a bad move the whole time. He should have been fighting right here at 185 since he was young, but he was in his early 20s. And his first UFC run, looking back, ain't that bad. Good win against Bruno Silva, who I think might be out the UFC after this one. Bruno Silva's in a rough spot. I don't love Bruno Silva's chances of even sticking around. I think he might be getting cut. So, impressive win for Ismail Naurdiev. I like the performance, and I respect the quality. I think he looked good. Improved for sure. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. This fight was bullshit. That's really all I got to say. I'll skip to the next one. Farid Basharat had to fight a Victor Hugo, who decided to be a featherweight for this fight, when Basharat had nearly completed his cut to 135 pounds. He took on a featherweight, and he was a bantamweight in there. And you could see the advantages in strength for Victor Hugo in the fight. But Basharat was simply the better technician, and I think the better fighter. He was able to outstrike Hugo, find some key takedowns. Now, Hugo did have moments in the fight, and Hugo gave Basharat a run for his money, certainly. But coming in 10 pounds heavier, I was so happy to see him take an L. Basharat's a really talented prospect. I think he's somebody to get excited about. Win over Taylor Lapilus is a huge victory to have. Lapilus is legit, in my opinion. I felt as though you beat a Taylor Lapilus, you're amongst the better half of the damn bantamweights on the planet. He takes on another dangerous prospect in Victor Hugo. But a Victor Hugo that came in heavy and decided, hey, let's do a catchweight fight. And, you know, I just think it's a horrible look. Hugo could be released from the UFC for this shit. I think that Basharat deserves 20 to 30% of his purse and, you know, obviously a win bonus with a dominant decision. A couple of heel hook attempts or leg lock attempts from Victor Hugo. But there was really, like, nothing substantial. Couple decent punches. I guess, to be fair, he landed a little spin elbow, but he didn't land it flush. He had moments. He landed some clean shots. He made it a fight, but the 10-pound weight advantage, I believe, is why. And Basharat still finished the fight strongly, taking that third round, securing the win. So, in a very suboptimal circumstance, Farid Basharat was able to overcome a massive test against Victor Hugo, which I think speaks volumes to the potential of Farid Basharat. I think he's an impressive guy, and I think he's somebody to keep an eye on. He said he wants, you know, somebody big. I think he's close to top 15. I don't know who next. He said, I want to be top 15. I don't think he gets ranked in the top 15 for beating Victor Hugo. What I'll do instead is I'll match him up with somebody in the top 15. Okay? Let me see here. UFC rankings. Let me see. Top 15 of the bantamweight division. I'm putting the matchmaker hat on early. Monday is matchmaker Mondays, but I'll do it early. At number 15 is Montel Jackson. It's going to be a hard sell to rush him up, but I don't hate the idea of him fighting Kyler Phillips, though. Maybe that's the fight if he's getting a fight in that top 15. Good win for Basharat. Hugo, you be lucky you got your job come Tuesday, bro. Next fight on the card. Kenley Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett. This was a sad fight, man. Chris Barnett hurt himself. They said he hurt himself doing the jump. I remember when he did the jump starting off, and I was thinking to myself, damn, bro, he's a fat boy. Those big knees, man, that weight on the knees, they could damage something. And sure enough, Chris Barnett, like, tears his hamstring at the end of the first round. He can't even balance on it, and Nzechukwu just rips him apart with a first-round KO. Unfortunately, at 38, carrying around this much excess weight, I mean, that takes a wear and tear. That beats you down. Like, Chris Barnett, I'm going to be honest, man, if he really wants to keep doing this, I think to limit the risk of injury, you got to at least get to 245. He's got to drop 20 pounds. He's 5'9", dude. He shouldn't be weighing 264. At the most, he realistically should be 230, but I would say, like, for him, we'll give him an extra 10. Chris Barnett could be fighting in the damn UFC middleweight division. He could be fighting in the welterweight division if he really dialed in his diet. Could he not lose 70 pounds of body fat? Could he not walk around in the 190s? I think he could for sure. So, I don't know. I think that extra weight really has started to wear him down. He had 2 years off, too. Unfortunate injury. Probably going to be another while off. I'm sure we see him again. But, like, optimally for Chris Barnett's, like, career longevity and just general health, he should really get, like, serious about his diet. I think it would be a good move for him. And Nzechukwu, I mean, he looks solid at heavyweight. He was throwing good teeps, good boxing combos. He was taking on a guy that was 5'9", 6'5". Okay? Good win for Nzechukwu, though. He looked calculated. Next fight on the card, Ibo Magomedov, Bruno Ferreira. First round was kind of slow between these two, but the second round is when things heated up. Bruno Ferreira dropped Ibo Magomedov. He had him badly hurt, and honestly, it looked like Bruno Ferreira might have a legit chance to sleep Magomedov. But Ibo Magomedov refused to break. Even in round 3, he was looking at times a little uncomfortable, shooting those takedowns, landing the key takedowns. Bruno Ferreira throwing elbows from the bottom in the third round, and then the referee warning him about behind-the-head strikes, and then him for a second getting distracted. It allowed Ibo Magomedov to move to mount. And Ibo Magomedov locked in the arm triangle, and the fight was a wrap. Massive mistake from Bruno Ferreira to get too caught up in the moment of, hey, ref, yeah, I got you. No problem. Now, it didn't happen that quick, but dude, he kind of let the fight slip away by focusing on what the ref was saying. Not to say he would have won or anything like that, but like he allowed Ibo Magomedov into the most dominant position possible. So, good win for Ibo Magomedov, capitalizing on the moment. He definitely got pushed to the limit here. He got dropped badly. He got hurt. Bruno Ferreira's power is definitely still very legit. But Magomedov is, in better shape than he used to be in. He definitely is ready for a hard 3. And, won the first round, lost badly in the second, was able to overcome the storm, come back and get a submission. I respect what I saw from Ibo. Good performance for him, man. Even though, the chin's a little bit of a worry. Bruno Ferreira is a powerhouse. He's a guy that's going to knock a lot of people out. So, not really the end of the world, Magomedov getting dropped. I mean, it is if you're talking about contendership, but Ibo Magomedov's not even ranked at this point. But solid enough win against Bruno Ferreira, who's definitely more of a fan favorite. And I'm sure Ferreira will be involved in more fun fights in the future. He just, unfortunately, took an L to a pretty, crafty vet of the game in Ibo Magomedov. Good win. Magomedov's got a nice W. His only losses are against Barrio and Strickland, 2 of the best. Next fight. Holy smokes. Mateusz Rębecki versus Mitabek Orolbai. This was the fight of the night. It was off the chain. First round, Rębecki landed some bombs on Orolbai. Swells his eye up. After the first round, you're thinking, oh, they might stop this fight. Doctor comes in, gives it a look, and he says, we're good. It was later revealed in the post-fight press conference, it was actually just soft tissue swelling. Mitabek Orolbai did not break his orbital bone. I watched the post-fight press conference with Dana White, and he said, no, there wasn't an orbital bone fracture. Round number 2, Mateusz Rębecki gets cut. It was from a head clash, though. But Orolbai did win that second round, regardless of the head clash. Landed good shots, was pressing Rębecki a bit. It seemed like Rębecki might have been gassing. And I thought that Mitabek Orolbai and Mateusz Rębecki was all going to come down to round 3. And Mateusz Rębecki stole round 3. Orolbai was looking good early on, and it was kind of like you could sense that Rębecki was fading. But then Rębecki caught him with the perfect hook to the freaking nose, squashed the nose of Orolbai, dropped him. Now, somehow, Orolbai survives the onslaught from Rębecki, and the referee didn't stop it, and he ends up on top of Rębecki a bit. And then, at the end of the fight, there's scrambles on the ground. They're back up on the feet. Orolbai is having striking success late, but not doing enough damage to steal the fight. I thought that Mateusz Rębecki should have got it 29-28, and the judges absolutely got this one right because you have to give Rębecki the first round for swelling that eye up and landing bigger shots. And you got to give him the third round for landing the knockdown and doing significantly more damage. Orolbai had moments for sure, and it was a competitive third round. But it wasn't a fight-winning third round. Rębecki deserved it at the end. I was glad to see that the right guy won. Mitabek Orolbai takes his first UFC loss here, but Rębecki is scary, yo. Powerhouse puncher with a little bit improved cardio. He's starting to show. I mean, he's a problem for a lot of guys in the damn lightweight division. Outside of that top 15, he can do work. He's a little bit on the short side, But good power, strong wrestling ability, stopped a lot of Orolbai's takedown attempts. Got taken down a bit, but stopped a lot too. Rębecki looks solid, man. And even though it's close, like being close and beating mid-to-back Orolbai is incredibly impressive because Orolbai is a really good prospect. He's only 26. He'll be back for sure. And Orolbai showed an unrelenting break. Like he doesn't break. It's what is it? Relentless? Unbreakable will, I guess. Unrelenting break. Unbreakable will. Mid-to-back Orolbai was literally getting cracked as he's getting up to his feet and he's just taking the shots to stand. So to me, a guy that puts it all on the line like that, this is the bloodbath of the year, one of the better fights of 2024, especially better 3-round fights. And on top of that, it was an absolute bloodbath. The canvas soaked, Orolbai's eyes swollen, nose busted open, Rębecki cut up bad. Excellent fight. Bloodbath of the year at the very least. And potential fight of the year candidate. It was an awesome fight. And it was this card's fight of the night. And thankfully, the right guy won, which was Rębecki. Next fight on the card, Geoff Neal versus Rafael dos Anjos. This was quick. Geoff Neal knocked dos Anjos out in the first round. Now, granted, he dropped him cleanly first, and then, he let him back up. He caught him again. Seemed like dos Anjos was getting hurt a lot by Geoff Neal's power shots. Neal out of southpaw got a stinging left. And then RDA gets caught again, but this time his knee kind of blew out and he goes down. So technically speaking, it was an injury stoppage. RDA tore his knee up bad. And, fight was over from there. There was nothing left. RDA did get caught as he tore his knee up. But really sad moment for RDA. At 40, man, it seems like the body's breaking down. I mean, it's expected, right? At 40 years old, you're not going to be able to move the same you did at 32. And RDA has like the 4th most fights in UFC history. So it makes sense that there's some real wear and tear there. But see him go down like that with a knee injury was sad. And he got dropped bad prior. It seemed like he was going to get knocked out either way, though. Geoff Neal looked like he was on his way to sleep in RDA, so maybe a blessing in disguise, less damage to the head, a little bit of a knee injury, better for the brain health with Geoff Neal not getting a flash knockout of RDA. But instead, he put him down. It was a flash knockdown, and he hit him with some clean shots. But ultimately, the leg blew out, and that's what got the fight called off. I guess you can say Geoff Neal, though, caused his knee to snap. So I'm impressed by Geoff Neal. He's a powerful striker. He's got good explosiveness. He's precise with his boxing. He's a crafty dude on the feet. And you really can't overlook him against anybody in the top 15. Like, close loss to Ian Gary. He had Ian Gary running from him. Gave Shavkat Rakhmonov a relatively hard fight, but Shavkat's just incredible. Big win for Geoff Neal that puts him, back amongst the better guys. What do you do with Geoff Neal, though? Looking at the top 15, what do I do with Geoff Neal? Welterweight top 15. He's ranked number 10. RDA, I believe, was 15 at lightweight. Oh, my God. Perfect fight. Gilbert Burns, Geoff Neal. I know one's coming off a win, the other's coming off losses, but it kind of makes a lot of sense where they're at this point in their careers, and I'd be interested in the fight. So, Geoff Neal, RDA seems cool. Or, excuse me, Geoff Neal versus Burns seems cool. And a little chance for the Brazilian to avenge RDA. Next fight, it was our featured prelim of the night, and this was too easy. Ibo Aslan caught Cerqueira with a left hook to the temple and just swarmed him with hooks, and Cerqueira's like this, just covering up. He was done. He was out on his feet. It was over. 50 seconds in, Ibo Aslan destroyed Cerqueira, and he made a massive call out to all of the guys in this damn UFC light heavyweight division, and he definitely made a statement. Even though Cerqueira was unproven against anybody good, the way that he beat him was really impressive. And on the mic afterwards, he's calling everybody, I come for whole division. I want kill guys. I don't even remember exactly what he said, but he said he's coming for everybody. He said he's going to be the champ. And I think the impression is A tier because I am actually Ibo Aslan's doppelganger, bro. I'm his cousin. Ibo Aslan, keep it on the low. Aslan, I got to tell you, he's got a savage beard. He's got power. He looks like a Chad. He has Gohan Saki in the corner. I'm starting to become sold on him. I just thought he looked like ass against Anton Turkali getting his eyes swelled up. But the way he destroyed Cerqueira, he said he thinks he can knock out anybody. Give him more big fights. He's 28, bro. The damn light heavyweight division needs a promising prospect. And Ibo Aslan, he might be just the one. So, badass performance for Ibo. Nice win. Violent finish. And standing TKO. But yeah, Cerqueira was done. And I think Cerqueira might be getting cut, bro. He's 34. He's a tad bit old to be making a run anyways. For a debut at 11-0, like, I thought if he has a breakout performance, the age doesn't matter. But losing like that, Going to be hard to come back from. I don't know who they're going to match him up with, but I'm sure they'll find him a fight. Maybe he's got to jump up to heavyweight and he fights against Rebellis de Spain or something like that. Good win for Ibo Aslan. Destructive performance. And Dana White said he's going to take care of him. He's not giving him a performance of the night bonus per se, but he's going to give him some type of performance bonus. Next fight, it brings us to the main card opener. If you guys haven't, smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe. Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Armen Petrosyan. To me, this was the Shara Bullet Magomedov breakout performance. Forget about the sensational knockout for a second because it was awesome. Shara Bullet looked so clean in this fight. His kickboxing looked so good. His precision was incredible. He was so confident and calm out there. He landed good punches on the feet. He even had to overcome an early attack by Petrosyan where he was caught. Chin held up nicely. Did a lot of damage to Petrosyan in this fight and was able to outwork, outdog, and eventually knock out a guy who I would rate as a pretty high-level striker in the UFC middleweight division. Shara Bullet Magomedov's striking is off the chain good, and he is an exceptional fighter, and his style is an absolute pleasure to watch. Easy to get behind somebody like Shara Bullet Magomedov, and he gets the double spinning back fist knockout. This technique is essentially the Shara Magomedov spinning back fist. The Shara Bullet back fist, we'll call it, where it's the double spinning back fist. This doesn't happen. It's never been done before, at least not in the UFC. The technique is literally some Matrix shit. And if you haven't had the pleasure of seeing it, watch it because holy shit, Shara Bullet is so accurate and precise. Incredible. Incredible. He wants to fight already in like November. He's like, yo, I want to fight next month. So let's get him back as soon as possible because I could watch Shara Bullet fight every month. Shara has one of the most aesthetically pleasing striking styles I have ever seen. It's so entertaining. And he's willing to fight all the damn time. And he's pretty talented too. Going to be hard to keep Shara Bullet away from the top 15. And I think he's consistently getting better. Because fucking up Petrosyan like that, not an easy task. Badass win. And shout out Shara Bullet, who put it on a pretty crafty kickboxer in Armen Petrosyan and flatlined him. Walk-off KO. Badass as it gets. Congrats, Shara Bullet. I don't know about ranked opponent yet. But there's somebody for him. He just beat a guy that's close to the top 15. If Bruno Ferreira would have won earlier, I would have matched those two up. But there's going to be something good. Off the top of my head, I don't have it yet. But I'll come up with something. I'll make some magic happen for Shara Bullet. Next fight, Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. This was an epic fight. It was actually really fun. Dan Ige rocked Lerone Murphy bad early in the fight. Lerone Murphy had to overcome a pretty serious Dan Ige storm. He'd never been rocked like that in his whole career. And I honestly think you have to give the dude his props for overcoming a bad spot like that, getting dropped, looking uncomfortable out there. Then, even at the start of round 2, Murphy looked gun-shy, but then he started finding success. Then he started getting comfortable. Then he took over the fight. He won the second and third round. He was definitely the rightful winner. Dan Ige gave him a tough test, but Lerone Murphy was very heavy with pressure. I mean, there were some moments for Dan Ige. Don't doubt it. He was on top of it. There was good reversals and scrambles by both guys, but Lerone Murphy finished the fight stronger. And in the final minute, right, when it all came down to it, Lerone Murphy landed the more significant shots, and he had Dan Ige backing up. And Lerone Murphy, at the end of it, is the right winner. So I'm very impressed by Lerone Murphy pulling through with a nice 29-28 decision win. If you follow the betting side of the channel, you know the over 2.5 and one more fight, which we'll talk about soon, was the lock parlay of the week. And thankfully, this fight went all three. A little bit of a sweat, but I knew it might be a sweaty over. I just knew that it would probably happen because Ige never finished. Murphy never lost. It seemed likely that they would go all 3 rounds, and they definitely did. Lerone Murphy, though, gets a massive win and calls out Josh Emmett afterwards. How do we not do the Josh Emmett fight? Yeah, sign me up for it. Lerone Murphy, Josh Emmett is a really cool fight. And the way Ige cracked him and hurt him, I could see Josh Emmett cracking and hurting Lerone Murphy. I think that's a dope matchup. I hope the UFC books that. Because I'll tell you, if there's anybody at featherweight that can crack like Dan Ige, Josh Emmett, obviously, you know, the current champ too can crack like that. But outside of being, you know, the world champ, Dan Ige and Josh Emmett have the heaviest hands in the damn featherweight division. Lerone Murphy taking back-to-back power punches on, ballsy strategy. And it wouldn't shock me if the power of Emmett's is a little heavier than Ige's and if he could flash him. Can you imagine? You imagine Lerone Murphy gets flash KO'd by Josh Emmett? That'd be crazy, and it would build the Josh Emmett stock way back. I like Lerone Murphy. I think he's incredibly skilled. I think he's got a well-rounded game that can mix in wrestling with the striking pretty well. I don't know about him being champ, but he definitely deserves a big fight. And a Josh Emmett is a name that jumps out the page, and he already called him out, so you might as well do it. For Dan Ige, you can't be mad at him for losing. He gave a gutsy effort, and he's still one of the better guys in the top 15, or, one of the better guys in the weight class. I guess he's one of the lesser guys in the top 15, but he's definitely top 15 material, and Dan Ige can drop anybody. Good fight. Lerone Murphy, huge win. Next fight brings us to our featured bout. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. Magomed Ankalaev seemingly earned his number one contender fight, or rather won his number one contender fight by beating Rakic. Should be getting the Ferreira fight. I don't know. Cross your fingers. I'll tell you this. Dana White said yes, though. He said it should. So he essentially said, yeah, he's going to get it. But it was not the most convincing Dana White, like, yeah, we're definitely doing it. I was like, yeah, he should get it. I think it makes sense. Shara. I'm thinking of Shara Bullet. I'm looking at Magomed. Magomed Ankalaev was able to do pretty much what I thought he would, which have better hands and better infighting, right? The green zone is Rakic, yellow and red favor the side of Ankalaev. In close range, Magomed Ankalaev showed that advantage. He put a lot of pressure on Rakic, forced him backwards, and made him a bit uncomfortable. Now, Rakic was competitive in the fight, and it ended up being a 29-28 decision. I thought it could have been 30-27. I thought Magomed Ankalaev was the better fighter throughout the majority of it, but there were moments for Rakic. He was threatening with high kicks. He was landing nice leg kicks. He was nice from the outside, but Magomed Ankalaev landed the more significant shots, busted Rakic up a bit. What's weird is the corner of Rakic, they told him, we're winning the fight. Don't get knocked out. What, bro? What? You're winning the fight? On what planet was he winning the fight? I thought his corner actually did him a disservice because he may have been less conservative in that third round. He would say, yo, you're behind. You got to get a knockout. I thought he was down 2-0 going into the third, and the only round I could give him is the third. I thought Ankalaev was ahead. I don't know. I mean, maybe Rakic, could you score him round one? I'd have to sit back and rewatch it, but in the moment, it's like Ankalaev's landing clean shots. Rakic is getting pushed back and made uncomfortable. Like, yeah, he landed some decent kicks, but Ankalaev is landing the better punches. He's landing with a thud, whereas, like, Rakic is touching. Ankalaev is cracking. Magomed Ankalaev put on a decent performance, but regardless of how it looked, right? Like, I think that stylistically, he is actually a hard fight for Alex Pereira. Because Magomed Ankalaev is incredibly well-versed. We didn't see his wrestling here, but he does have decent wrestling. He's known for his stand-up, and he's really trying to push that. Like, yo, I'm a striker. He has good power, but he's got clean boxing, good defensive abilities, and to be fair, I could see him giving Alex Pereira problems in the close range. Now, I would say Alex Pereira is better on the inside than Rakic is, but I could see in close Magomed Ankalaev having striking success and potentially actually catching Alex Pereira more cleanly because the offensive-minded style of Alex Pereira makes for a higher vulnerability of a counter shot KO, whereas Rakic was relatively conservative in this fight. I'm not saying he was fighting to, survive, but like in some senses, he was fighting to survive, to make it to the final bell, regardless of if his corner told him that he was winning or not. Like, whatever, that's fine. I'm just saying, there's more openings with an Alex Pereira offensive-minded knockout artist than there is with Rakic, who's a kickboxer from range, who's normally decent with his wrestling. Like, he couldn't even deal with the wrestling. Like, he couldn't get Magomed Ankalaev down. The wrestling was a non-threat, is what I'm saying. We know Pereira doesn't even have the takedown option, period. So if Ankalaev starts having some striking success, Pereira has nothing else to go to. And I don't think it's crazy if Magomed Ankalaev were to take him to the ground. I feel as though Ankalaev is a really hard fight for Pereira. And if Pereira is able to go out and beat a Magomed Ankalaev, now he's cementing himself as, a GOAT status light heavyweight. If he doesn't fight Ankalaev, I will always wonder. So I hope that the UFC does it. Of course, could they do a super fight and he moves up and maybe fights Tom Aspinall? If he knocked out Tom Aspinall, sure, we'd forget about the Ankalaev fight. But to be fair, the hardcores would always know Magomed Ankalaev is the deserving number one contender, and I need to see that fight. Because Ankalaev also, tricky southpaw. And I think he can land some clean shots, man. Roundtree southpaw had success. Ankalaev's well-rounded. He's well-versed. I love the fight. I hope they book it. Ankalaev, Ferreira, make it happen, UFC. Let's find out. Co-main event. I got to get excited for this one. Khamzat Chimaev, my favorite fighter in the UFC, proves to everybody that he is not out of it, losing aura. Like, this was like the fucking trends I'm seeing. I was getting irritated. I won't lie to you. Online, the Khamzat hate was off the chain. It was all hate towards Khamzat. Oh, he doesn't look like he got it anymore. He's not the same. He's not focused anymore. He's a nice guy now. No, humble Khamzat is better. He's more calculated. He's less emotional. And you saw that with Whittaker. He wasn't really expending that much energy finding the dominant positions. And he waited for the perfect opportunity to go for it. And he fucking broke Rob Whittaker's jaw with a face crank rear naked. Rob Whittaker's teeth are in the back of his fucking mouth. Okay? Rob Whittaker got his face destroyed by Khamzat Chimaev in a second. Snaps his shit. Like, that's something out of a kung fu movie, bro. Like, I don't know how Khamzat Chimaev has a squeeze like that. He's out of this world good at freaking grappling. And I swear to you, he is better than I've ever seen him now. Better physical condition, better mental state. And I think he's just better in general, like better trained. He's just better, more sophisticated with his style. I think the right move was, to slow down maybe a little bit of the intensity sometimes and not overtrain and, do things right. He's following a more structured plan. And holy shit, it showed. He looks like the world champion. Rob Whittaker got ran over. And if you think that Sean Strickland is still next in line after Khamzat submits Rob Whittaker in the first round, you're smoking something that ain't weed, bro. I don't know what you're smoking on. Crack? A split decision. Say what you want. It should have been a split. A close decision over Paulo Costa for Sean Strickland does not warrant a title fight when Khamzat Chimaev just destroyed Rob Whittaker, the former champ and one of the best middleweights on the planet. Khamzat Chimaev should be next in line without a shine of a doubt. And that's the most sensible fight, not Strickland. That doesn't make any sense. Just because he was close with Duplessis the first time, he lost the fight. And then he beats Paulo Costa, who, remember, hasn't beaten anybody in the UFC still. Right? Nobody's beaten is in the UFC still, but he's ranked amongst the elite. And Rob Whittaker dominated Paulo Costa. And Khamzat destroyed Rob Whittaker easily. Khamzat next in line for the title shot. Zero argument. That is the fight to make. Dricus Duplessis, Khamzat Chimaev in South Africa is one of the biggest fights the UFC can make right now. Khamzat is a megastar. Dricus Duplessis is an absolute chad. The stylistic clash is super interesting, and I'll tell you, I don't think Dricus Duplessis can deal with Khamzat on the ground either. Dricus Duplessis, Khamzat. UFC make it. Breakout performance. It capped off my lock because I had the over 2.5 with Lerone Murphy, and I had Khamzat as the lock of the week, which was a special parlay for you guys this week. And minus 120 looked pretty damn good. So, hey, shout out to the bettors out there that backed it. Khamzat Chimaev is the one. My favorite guy, my fucking savage pick of favorite fighter in the game. I don't know, man. Khamzat is my top 3 favorites of all time. He, matches my fanhood for Prime Jones, for Prime Overeem, and I think Khamzat, he might even exceed it. Khamzat's the special one, bro. Father Khamzat, he's got a son now. Humble Khamzat, Khamzat 2.0. That's what I've been saying all week. It's Khamzat 2.0, and damn, I'm right. Damn, I'm right. Give him the title fight. Give him the damn belt, DDP. Next fight, main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. And if you're new, subscribe. Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway. Man, Ilia Topuria has got unmatched aura in the featherweight division. But I'll tell you, Max Holloway did well. First got a knockout, Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria. But it's not like Holloway wasn't looking pretty good. First 2 rounds, Holloway looked solid. It was competitive between him and Topuria. I thought Holloway was landing good shots from the outside. Topuria was having moments, but Holloway was having success. Second round, definitely Holloway's. First round, close. I thought Holloway was touching him nice with straights. He was finding his timing. He was kind of making Topuria's face red. And it was like, damn, can Topuria not get past that jab? Is he having that much difficulty with the distance of Holloway? Nah, because Topuria rocks him bad in round number 3. And the thing about Topuria is when he has you hurt, he doesn't stop. He brought the cannons, and he ends up sleeping Max Holloway. The hook puts Holloway down, ground and pound to cap it off. It was 134 in round number 3. Holy shit, it was real early in round 3. Incredible. 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 Ilia Topuria called it too. He said, I'm going to be the first guy to knock out Max Holloway. He pointed to the ground and said, let's go the first 10 seconds. Max said no. I think Topuria just won himself BMF status too. Because Topuria is a BMF. If you outstrike and beat up a BMF, wouldn't that make you the BMF? So Topuria now, undisputed and BMF champ as far as I'm concerned. I know Max Holloway is going to still have the BMF belt, and they're going to use it in other matchups because it can't be on the line for title fights. If you're fighting for an undisputed belt, you can't have the BMF belt too. So they'll be flexing it. Holloway will be fighting somebody for that for that BMF belt because they can't mix it with the undisputed. But we know who the real BMF is. We can talk bullshit, but the real BMF champ's name is Ilia Topuria, and he's the undisputed champ. And I think he kind of silenced the, legitimacy of that belt, to be honest with you, because he slept Holloway. So shouldn't you just give it to him? Like, he didn't wrestle him at all. I mean, I guess he wrestled him a little bit, but he didn't, just lay on him. Wrestled him a bit in the first round. He picked him up and slammed him. We never seen Holloway get thrown around like that. Ilia Topuria waited for his moment, and he absolutely found it. His boxing is off the freaking chain. His slickness is incredible. His precision is next level. His power is unmatched. Who at featherweight has power like him? I was talking about Dan Ige, Josh Emmett, but they don't hit like Topuria. He had to deal with some adversity, though, because Holloway was actually having a lot of success with volume strikes, and Topuria's face was getting beaten up. Topuria was getting tested, but he just doesn't lose faith in himself, and he eventually finds the chin. He becomes the first guy ever to knock Max Holloway out, which is a historic feat. Max Holloway's chin is unmatched as far as featherweights go. Holy shit, he'd never been put down, and he gets slept by Topuria, and that shows that Topuria is on his path to Hall of Fame. I mean, I think he's already in the Hall of Fame. With 2 title fights, he's already in it. He beat the GOAT at fucking featherweight, Volkanovski, and he beat the number 2, Max Holloway. The rematch with Volkanovski seems like the one the UFC is pushing on us with them allowing Volkanovski into the cage. And obviously Volk's great resume, but I really am curious to see the Diego Lopez fight. But you do have to give it to Volkanovski. You can't say, no, you're not next in line for the belt. Yeah, you lost, but no, you're not next in line for the belt after how many defenses you had, how many fucking favors you did for the UFC, taking the short notice fight against Makhachev. I want to see the best version of Alexander Volkanovski. I want to see him with a little bit of a break, taking on Topuria. But it won't make a difference because Ilia Topuria is the face of the new generation. And I think he's going to knock Alex Volkanovski out. And I really think Ilia Topuria is on the path to go down as a GOAT, man. At least a featherweight GOAT. I mean, obviously, Movsar Evloev, somebody on the come up, but I don't think he can deal with the power shots of Topuria. Diego Lopez, badass prospect. I don't think he's going to be able to deal with Topuria. Topuria is good everywhere. Max Holloway, the best boxer from range in the damn division, couldn't keep Topuria at bay, and he got knocked out. Diego Lopez is going to get chinned too. I think they're all going to sleep, man, at the hands of Topuria, and he's only 27. Trust me. If he defends the belt 2 more times, there's a real conversation for him to go up. And if Makhachev is still the champ, crazy super fight between Makhachev and Topuria does not seem out of the realm of possibility. And I think you'd all be lying to yourselves if you didn't think, damn, if Topuria strikes and lands a clean hook, could he also drop Makhachev? Because that's what I was thinking. If you can knock out Max Holloway, you can knock out Makhachev too. Oh my God, that's a dream scenario. If he runs through Volk and then he beats like a Diego Lopez or a Movsar afterwards, it's hard to deny him his chance to go up in weight and go for dual champ status. And that's something that I would love to see. I hope that it comes to fruition. UFC, give Topuria the Volk fight as soon as possible too. I want to see it. They're going back to Australia February, but they want to do Topuria in Spain at some point, but they're not promising in the summer, so it might not be till the fall. So it might be Topuria having to go down under. He's got 4 months. Yeah, he could. Fights Volk in February, and then turns around whenever the Spain card is, and he fights either Diego Lopez or Movsar Evloev. For Max Holloway, he's in a weird spot. Obviously, there's always fights for Max Holloway. He's kind of in a position, though, where if you are the BMF champ, going up to 155 might be the better option. I mean, there's a Dustin Poirier fight. There's a Conor McGregor fight. Conor McGregor posted, call me, on Twitter. I don't think he's referring to dropping a 145 and fighting Topuria. I think instead, Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor for McGregor's comeback fight could be a sensational matchup. I think that makes the most sense. If somehow McGregor got through Holloway, they'd be insane. But I don't know if he can deal with Holloway's precision. I don't know if he can deal with Holloway's volume. And at 155, I think Holloway's chin is a little better. I was saying it all week. I think it's a mistake to drop. Now, granted, he looked good. Great performance. Holloway was looking world class, and he is world class. But I think he's a 55er now. Yeah, he can cut the extra 10 pounds, but it takes something away from his power. And you better not have any chinks in your armor when you're fighting a guy like Topuria. At 155, Max Holloway, Conor McGregor would be insane. I'm not going to hold my breath, though. Could be Holloway versus DP, Dustin Poirier. I'm trying to think, though, if he sticks around here. I mean, nah, he's not going to fight a Josh Emmett. He's not going to do a quadrilogy with Volkanovski. He's going to have to earn his way back into a title fight. But at 32, nearly 33, it seems unlikely. By the time he gets back in the cage, he'll be 33, maybe even 33 and a half. I think his better move is sticking up at 155, doing a BMF fight against maybe a Conor. I don't know who else. Maybe they do a damn fight between him and Poirier trilogy, even though he lost the first two, but BMF on the line. There's a lot of ways they can, finagle and maneuver things to make a pretty cool fight from Max Holloway forthcoming. He was always getting asked pre-fight, what's next if you beat Topuria? Well, I thought, he's going to lose to Topuria, but what's next is a BMF fight because they're not going to take the belt away, even though the real BMF champ's name is Ilia Topuria, and he happens to be the featherweight champ of the world too. Ilia Topuria, the face of the new generation with an incredible performance. Yes, he was tested early. Holloway was landing strikes from distance. But the new generation came through tonight with Khamzat and Topuria putting on A-caliber performances and getting sensational wins against legends of the game. Now, we got to review the picks, okay? We're going to do a picks and a parlay review. Let's quickly look at the parlays. We crushed it with some savage calls, hit that plus 550 with the prop degeneracy, and then just a straight savage EV, OV parlay came through in the plus 1,000s. Obviously, the clean sweep of this week's Best MMA Bets confident picks in the lock of the week came through. My lock was Khamzat and Murphy and Ige's over 2.5 at minus 120. Everything else hit nicely. So shout out to anybody that blindly tailed. I tell you guys always do your own research, but the blind tailers were very successful just jumping in it this week. So shout out to everybody. And as far as the picks, record 11-2 on the card. Started it off with a robbery win. I had Fakhretdinov, then one with Naurdiev over Silva, one with Basharat over Hugo, one with Nzechukwu over Barnett, one with Magomedov over Ferreira, lost with Orolbai with Rębecki, and fair fight. One with Neal over RDA, and I called that knockout nicely. Lost with Cerqueira over Aslan. I look at it like a moron now. I thought Cerqueira would be better than that, man. Training with Geoff I thought he'd shoot for a takedown or something if he was in trouble. One with Shara over Petrosyan, one with Murphy over Ige, and the over was a confident pick. One with Ankalaev over Rakic, one with Khamzat over Whittaker, and one with Topuria over Holloway for a clean sweep in the main card, an 11-2 record. Most confident picks, clean sweep, lock of the week call, hitting the money with the damn parlay for the first time. I never did a lock of the week as a parlay. I brought the heat, though, because I didn't want to just lay a chalky-locky with Khamzat. Instead, we put that minus 120 together nicely, and they made it happen. I love it. I love it. Very happy with this week, man. Awesome fights. Awesome card. I hope you guys enjoyed the week's worth of content from me. I am so thankful that Khamzat Chimaev silences the doubters. And I expect a lot of the haters to jump back on the Khamzat train and ride it into a destruction of Dricus du Plessis. Because that's just how it tends to go. But me, know that I never jumped off the train. As Khamzat, still the special one. Father Khamzat, Khamzat 2.0, humble Khamzat going for belt status, and Topuria on his way to being a dominant champion. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed UFC 308. Definitely let me know in the comments what you thought. Fight of the night went to Rębecki, Orolbai as it should. Performance of the night bonuses, Shara Bullet, of course, Topuria, of course, and Khamzat, of course. So shout out to all the winners of that. And hopefully Ankalaev and Ferreira comes. Lot of exciting aftermath following this card. I will be doing a fights to make next video on Monday, so join me for Matchmaker Mondays, where I'll be talking about every fight I want to see following UFC 308. Thanks for watching, guys. Smash the likes if you're new, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought. But W's in the comments if you got nothing to say. Thank you guys for the support. See you all on the next one. Peace out.